Beer has shaped American culture since the earliest days of the country, but Prohibition marked the end of that vibrant tradition. Since then, small brewers have redefined the notion of American beer, giving way to new styles and trends. One such trend, homebrewing, surfaced in the late 70s as a counterculture response to mass-produced beer. Today, many small brewers have their roots in homebrewing. The process is largely identical to commercial brewing, but is conducted in the home. Though homemade beer cannot be sold, D.C. brewers are fortifying the scene with their unique concoctions, embracing the spirit of innovation. Mike Tonsmeire, an economist, experiments with homebrewing as the blogger behind the Mad Fermentationists. While his hobby has resulted in numerous job offers, Tonsmeire feels his passion would wane as a full-time brewer. The appeal of homebrewing, he says, stems from a desire to create during a time where most is created for us.
This backlash against the everything's cookie cutter, everything's from a big factory, everything's imported, no one knows how to make anything on their own anymore. Whereas brewing really is this process. It really is visceral, and you really can get your hands in there, and you really, you're stirring the mash, and you're straining the hops out, and those sorts of things.
The revival of a DIY culture plays an important role in homebrewing. The artistic freedom that comes with the process extends beyond the creation of beer.
One of the great things about homebrewing is it has all of these different elements in it. So if you love gardening, you can grow your own hops. Some people even grow their own malt. If you love building stuff, you can build your own equipment. I have friends who have designed iPhone apps so that they can control their brewery.
Nathan Zeender, another DC homebrewer, says there are endless possibilities in the world of artisanal brewing. With a penchant for barrel-aged sour beer, Zeender says his creations are often born out of eccentric ideas.
Something will strike my fancy, like flavors of Scandinavia or something like that, right? And then I sort of spent a couple of months trying to work out all these different ideas about it. So, staying playful. I mean, beer, it can get sort of like academic sometimes.
Despite homebrewing's creative freedom,
put gold dust in your beer if you want to. I mean, if you wanted to,
there is still a method to be followed.
Here, and then you can, gauge pressures and things like that. So you make some pretty wacky beers. You put on your art hat and you say, hey, I got this idea. I go get pomegranates and everything else, and throw it all in there. You might make something interesting, but if you're not really smart about your process, then you can go pretty wrong.
And while homebrewing might just seem like a backyard hobby, many brewers have used their keen sense of taste to forge successful careers in D.C. A former homebrewer, Thor Cheston, says that consumers are moving away from mass-produced beer and looking for a more quality product. The shift has caused restaurants to hire individuals with specialized beer knowledge.
You have the birth of the beer sommelier, and the restaurants are hiring beer directors, and their job is to make sure the beer menu is not just extensive, but it matches the food menu.
Currently, Cheston is planning the opening of his brew pub, Right Proper. But first, he is collecting signatures for a petition which aims to sell beer to go in resealable bottles called growlers. Last year, Councilman Tommy Wells proposed the Sustainable Bottle Amendment Act, which would allow brew pubs to sell beer in growlers and help expand their market.
There's economic value, and then more of an emotional aspect is, it's very green. You're not selling bottles that are going to be used once and then thrown away. You're bringing home the growler, you're drinking it at home, and then you're taking it back and getting it refilled. We're in the process of opening a brew pub, and I could never imagine owning a brew pub and we couldn't sell growlers.
Zeender, who's been chosen as Right Proper's head brewer, says the move to be more business-minded will be difficult, but he still plans on keeping palates happy with innovative beers.
You take the commercial aspect out of brewing, then you're sort of left pretty much free to brew uncompromising beers. You're brewing to your own taste. You brew whatever you want. I'm transitioning from being a home brewer, into being a professional brewer, and I'm trying to take as much of that sort of inspiration along with me.
Although the DC beer scene is still young, homebrewers and brew pubs are optimistic about its future.
I really hope that DC really lays that foundation, really gets a long-lasting beer culture that's about making good beer and not about, being trendy or popular or cool.
There's going to be, that wonderful mix of, the best beers from around the world plus, our own homegrown, homebrew beer.
For Georgetown University, I'm Elena Chiriboga.